Roger Goodell, a week ago, talked about all likelihood, we're going to present a package to go to 18 regular season games. We'll have just 2 exhibition games. You can have joint workouts. This is all about the bank. This is all about the green. This is all about money. Well, the union has to negotiate this. Any change in that type of scheduling has to involve collective bargaining. The union is saying, well, we're not agreeing to an 18-game schedule right now. We need things to be considered. And the union has started to push back. And it's not just the fact that each player is going to be paid more money because they're playing 18 regular season games. Not just the fact there's going to be more money going to gross revenue, which means the salary cap will go up. They want better work conditions. And out of nowhere, the NFL Players Association went public and said, John, we want the elimination of all OTA workouts. Now, the OTAs have become a 5-week thing in the offseason. You bring your draft picks in right after the draft. That's a rookie orientation thing. And then you bring everybody in for a 3-week window, and you do classroom work, you do on-the-field work, you do weight training, etc. Then you have a full mini camp for everybody, rookies, free agents, street free agents, undrafted free agents, and veterans. That's 1 full week that's mandatory, and then everybody goes to camp at the end of July. The union said, no, we don't want this to be an 11-month-a-year physical slog for all of our players. You're going to 18 games, we got to change things. So they've come back and they said, we want you to eliminate the OTAs as they're operated right now. And what they plain and simple said, you're allowed to bring your draft picks in for only classroom work, cannot be on the field, no physical testing. When you bring the group of players in for the 3-week OTA window, strictly classroom work, nobody on the field, no weight training program, none of that. Now, if you got injured players, and there might be a rehab thing component to that. He says, we want OTAs on the field ended, strictly educational, strictly installation of your playbook, etc., no practices. They are proposing that training camps will open a week earlier because of an 18-game schedule, and that once we get beyond July 4th, everybody's camp will open a week earlier, and then boom, rest of training camp to the start of the season. I think rookies need to have OTAs. You got to, obviously, classroom work is important. If the union is saying we don't want conditioning to be part of this, that's a detriment to the players, because the players need to really get their cardio and their conditioning up, and you can only do that in the off season. You don't lift every day and all that other stuff Monday through Friday during the regular season. So I think there's an increased injury risk if you're not going to have physicality and OTAs, weightlifting, etc. They want clubs to cease and desist, quit badgering my player that he's got to be there to weightlift all off season in the confines of that facility. It's complex, but like anything else, as it relates to the CBA, it's going to be negotiated. And if the union and the owners are going to 18, it's going to be more than just money going to 18. It's going to have to also incorporate changes in the OTA, and I think there'll be changes in the size of the roster. I can't imagine a 58-man roster trying to play an 18-game schedule. And what they may do, and the reason the union is going to wind up pushing for that is those are full salaries. That's not a 50% remuneration for some kid on a developmental squad that gets this much. It will be a full salary for veteran players. So this is going to be a long pull back and forth between the two. But do you think your 49ers need to have OTAs with all the things it encompasses that I just explained?
Well, clearly they need the classroom work, like you said. And frankly, some players even today need a lot more classroom work because so much of it is mental. But how many players have had season-ending or career-ending injuries in these OTAs?
A bunch. Now, are we talking 15 season-ending injuries, 30 season-ending injuries? It's a big issue. We've had a lot of ruptured Achilles tendons in OTAs because these guys on the practice field, they're exploding off the line of scrimmage to run their pass route, and the new play formations are running for the quarterbacks. That's where that stuff happens. They're in helmets and they're in shells. There's not supposed to be a lot of physical contact, but that means you're running up and in and you're planting and you're going. you can explode your knee. You can explode, you get a cleat caught and blow out an Achilles. And that has happened last 3 or 4 years at a bigger number. But again, I go back to my thing. There has to be weight training, and it has to be supervised weight training. So I don't know where the middle ground on this is.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of high school sports and how they're limiting the practices, particularly during the summer workouts. And, the sport doesn't necessarily suffer. I mean, these kids have been running and lifting weights in college and as pros. I mean, I don't object to it. I mean, if it's, there's got to be a give and take in that negotiation. But yeah, classroom work, by all means, they need more of that.
On we go from NFL